This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
So, and I have to tell them, like, look at yourself as an iPhone. What is going to be the new version? Like, however old you are, that's what version I feel like you are. I'm on Antron version 2026. And what new features that I wanted to add to it from when I was a quarter of a century? I said the new features I want to add, I want to become more adamant about being my own business owner. I want to become more adamant about being a leader in the way that I serve others and I help them get to the conception of knowing who they are. Not want to be me. Like when you look at a lot of people that are successful, like I want to be like him. Like, no, you want to be the best version of yourself. Because me selling cars and me selling soap, that may not be for you.
Exactly.
I may help you spark a fire or spark an interest on what your passion is. Do what you love, then you'll never work a day in your life. I truly believe in that.
Yeah, I believe it too.
But we live in an environment where
they make you feel guilty if you
do what you love
and you like make good money and like you're not really working because you're doing what you. Cause jobs supposed to be fun. What people think.
And I said, hold on. I said, this is the concept I don't get. Hustling, trying to do what they love. The hustle is not people out here doing, like, quote unquote to me, illegal activity because they know the type of lifestyle that they want to live. And you've been put in a system that perpetuates you to have to make those decisions because you don't make enough in a 9 to 5. Like I told them, if people made $10 an hour and they work 40 hours a week, that's $400 a week. It is 52 weeks in a year. Let's just say 4 weeks in a month. So 400. Let's say if you make, let's go back and do the numbers. So you work $10 an hour at 40 hours a week. That's $400 a week. If it's 4 weeks in a month, that's $1,600 a month. If it's 12 weeks, 12 months in a year, that'll be 1,600 times 10 is 16,000. Plus 2 more months will be another 3,200. So that will put you at $19,600. So the average person, if you made $10 out, you make less than $20,000 a year before taxes. So let's just say we break down the demographics of let's just say you have no child and you live by yourself. The average rent for an apartment for a 1-bedroom is $550. We'll just round it down to 500 just on the safe side so we can do the numbers fast. If you pay $500 a month, 5 times 12 gives you $6,000. $6,000, that's 60. So that's $6,000. So already off the bat, you at $14,000 just with rent, not including utilities or groceries. So if you're already at that, if you have a car and you have a car note, let's say your car note is $400 a month. 4 times 12 gives you 48. That's another $5,000 out of your pocket. So you're down to $9,000. Like you really down that $9,000 for you to work with off the year. Not to mention groceries, utilities, and unexpected doctor bills if you're gonna get insurance. You're basically living like for yourself. That's bad living. That's off $10 an hour if you made it.
You're not talking about health insurance.
I'm not talking about anything else that comes up. Like I'm not talking about if you had amenities like cable, if you had a cell phone bill, which everybody has a cell phone right now. So if you gotta put clothing, I haven't even averaged if you gotta do clothing to buy a suit or buy something that get outworn. You gotta buy laundry detergent, all the toy items you have to buy just to live in your house to keep the grass. Cause like you have everything else, like that's barely enough money for one person to live off of. And that's if they had the strictest budget. Not to mention if you wanted to save, like Dave Ramsey says, to come up and give you a 529 college plan or give you a 401k or to give you a Roth IRA. If you put $5,500 into that account over a 12-month period, you still down to $4,000. You down to $3,500. That's if you're saving the way Dave Ramsey say you should save. How are you living? Like you're existing. It's economic sharecropping. Like the only thing different between slavery and today's time is that they don't have to house you. You house yourself on what they give you. And not to mention if you're a mother of a child, daycare is gonna cost And I see people struggle with this every day. Like, it's 2 people working in a household and you have 1 child, and it's still not enough means to be able to make the child have an adequate lifestyle to be able to go to a good daycare, for him to get the best tutors, for him to even get the best, like, you're sacrificing time to try to, you're sacrificing time to get money, and you're missing the most essential part of life. Like, a child grows, and science says a child grows the most between birth and 8 years of age. And 90% of Americans right now, their child spends more time at daycare or in school than they do with their parents, which is the most critical time to shape the child's brain into him developing him or her developing a concept of who they are in this world, in this society. And everything that school teaches you and everything that other people teach you is how to become a part of the system. Like, it teaches you how to go work for somebody. I said it's amazing. Like, 90% of Americans don't know how to do their taxes. 90% of Americans don't know what it takes to start a business. 90% of Americans don't know how much money they make a year until they do their taxes. They don't know how to set up a budget. Like, but we know the Pythagorean theorem, though. We learn it, but we don't learn what's a good interest rate on a mortgage. But they'll tell you in The Big Short and stuff like that, like the banks knew that the housing market was gonna crash. But what did they get? They get a bailout. But they tell black people all the time, you need to pick yourself up by your own bootstraps. That's amazing, right? Everybody gets a bailout but the black people. And we get mad when black people give black people a bailout. But other races do it all the time. So I say, do we really love ourselves like that? Because I always tell people, like, if you realize why people are the way that they are, ask them how they truly view themselves. Because if you truly love yourself, you will always have forgiveness in your heart. Because I tell people, we can't read the same Bible at times. Because perfect love casts out fear. Like, and I'm not a big person on when it comes to, like, being, I'm not a very religious person, but I read the Bible. I read things for knowledge and self and gain and a lot of stuff, and I lean not to my own understanding, but I ask for it. And I tell people, I always say the Father of the universe, because I think anything you put out in the universe will always come back to you. And so things that I ask for, I always tell people, if it's not your will, let it, not my will, but let your will be done. Hey, how y'all doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Well, actually, like, what's your name again, brother?
Antron McKay-West.
Antron McKay-West. That's a powerful name. And you are actually the president of Upgrade Mississippi?
Yeah, president and founder of Upgrade Mississippi.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Upgrade Mississippi is a nonprofit geared towards improving the quality of life for all people living in Mississippi. And basically the concept comes from, like, how do you upgrade? A lot of times I feel like we get to the concept, or we felt like when in the inception of Upgrade, is that we don't need to kill everything and start over from nothing, because we already have things in place that are pretty much good. But how do you upgrade something? Like, what is the process? Because we already have people here. You can't just go recreate another generation and say you're going to change the way that they think. You have to deal with what you have and where they are. And so we always come up with the concept of upgrade. So the 3 things that we wanted to focus on was upgrade health, we want to do education, and we want to do community engagement. And the biggest part of it was community engagement. And on the part of community engagement is, like, if you, strong communities build cultures, it builds generations, it builds societies, your community. But within that community, you have to break it down with individuals on how do you improve their education system and how do you improve their health. And with health, like, you have to have a child at its healthiest point. If we look at the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or we just look at in a general basis, the only way that you can be as productive as you want to be is if you're in your best shape to be that way. An athlete can only perform at the highest level when he's in the best condition to do so. So we have to get our children, or we have to get our generation to understand, like, we are what we eat. Not in a way of saying that you need to drop everything that you're doing, but I at least want you to be mindful when you go to McDonald's, you know what you're putting into your body. Right. I can't tell you to stop going to, I don't want to tell you to don't go to McDonald's, because that would be me being a dictator, or that would take away the whole point of us having the freedom of choice, or us being in a land of free. But we wanted to put you in the mindset, if you have the knowledge and you know if you know what's going on, then you have the freedom to make a choice. And that's what we wanted to do with Upgrade. We wanted to at least put it on the table where you can make a conscious and a cognitive great choice. And you can have metacognition, which means you think about what you're thinking about. Why do you think the way that you think? And so when we came up with the concept, it was more like, how do we get a generation to realize that we have to be the ones to plant the seeds now, so the next generation can have seeds. We have to leave wealth. We have to leave other things for the next generation to enjoy life and to be able to be productive in this lifetime. And so with Upgrade, it became major, because the more I began to read and the more I began to learn, a lot of the greatest inventors, a lot of the greatest scientists, a lot of the greatest, like the martyrs of the world, were at a very young age, pretty much the college age, when they did things of greatness. Like when they discovered it, because that's when you have the most energy, you have the chance to really be a failure at life, because we can only determine success off how many times that you really fail at times. Because a lot of times the greatest successes tell you that I failed way more times than I've ever accomplished something. Michael Jordan always said, I've missed way more game winners than I've ever made, but the ones that you remember are the ones that I made. So we have to get a society that can't be afraid of failure, because failure is a part of learning, it's a part of growing. And we wanted Upgrade to be a process where you're not afraid to fail within the process. We don't want you to come to us perfect. We don't want we want the best and the brightest, but we also want the diamonds in the rough, because everybody has something to contribute to the table. And if everybody is giving, then in return, I think everybody is receiving something in the same way. So what do you have? We all have something to give. And I think we get to the point of, like, we've been in such a capitalistic environment where if I don't give the same amount of money that he gave, then I'm not as important as he is. Because he gave $1,000 and I gave $100, that means he's more important to the group than I am. But what if he had $1 million and all I had was 1,000? So you have to look at it in terms of, like, where are you at in life, and when you can, and that's why I say, like, it's hard to have a set of rules that govern a whole group of people when you have a group of people that are full of individuals, and you have to judge things on an individual basis. Because we are human. Like, you can't really put out a sample population and say that we can really say it's a definite for everybody, because you're always going to have exceptions to the rules. And so with Upgrade, we just want to get to the point where we're producing people to be the best version of themselves. That's it. We don't want you to be the next Dr. King. We don't want you to be the next Reverend A.L.L. Samson. We don't want you to be the next Stephen Curry, the next Michael Jordan. We want you to be that next student that's able to reach back and help another student that you see that reminds you of yourself to get to the best version of yourself. And that's all we want Upgrade to be.
Wow. So do you consider yourself or your organization a part of the Black Lives Matter movement?
When I speak on the Black Lives Matter movements, I always tell people, I'm very clear about where I stand. I always stand and I tell people Black Lives Matter, and especially in this standpoint, because we have so many people that say all lives matter. Right. And the only difference that I have when people say that is, the example that I use is like, you don't catch people running through a cancer ward yelling that other people have deadly diseases too. All lives matter, but which lives have you been seeing constantly attacked? The difference when Lil JoJo shoots Lil Marco in the quote unquote ghetto or the hood is he goes to jail for a long time for it. And there's nothing to really probably prove besides a few witnesses to say that he did it. We're seeing actual execution style, and police are using like brutal attacks on unarmed suspects and killing them with deadly force. Was using death, whether it's a chokehold, whether it's saying you accidentally pulled your gun thinking it was your taser, you took a life that can never come back, and you didn't get penalized, or justice wasn't served for it. So when we say Black Lives Matter, we want Black Lives to matter in the fact of, if you take a black life and you do it wrongfully, if you take any life and do it wrongfully, can you be charged by a jury of your peers to really say that you were wrong, and you be prosecuted and justice is served for the deed that you, or the act that you did wrong?
Is it possible, it's like you say, you can't get a life back, so is it possible to have justice in a system like this that we currently reside in?
In a system of death, or a system of killing one man to another, I feel like you can never really obtain true justice. Simply because when a life is taken and when a life is lost, you can never get that life back. No matter if you decide to say the old version of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, because the people that you're going to hurt are still going to be the loved ones around the life that you're impacting. When a man goes to jail for life, or he goes to jail, he's a member of he's somebody's son too. He's somebody's grandchild. He's somebody's aunt. She may be somebody's aunt, uncle. It's a part of somebody's family. So that means he means something to somebody. So when you take a life, it's never gonna be. You can't really say what justice is because we are not the all-seeing eye. We are not the father of the universe. We can't say what justice is because we're just humans. We can't say that you're gonna find any gratification or any place of peace by taking a life. The only thing that we can do is hope to move on from it or get to a process where justice can be served in a way of saying that can he repay his debt to society, or does he feel remorse for what he did, and how is he gonna make every day of his life in a way to make sure he gets back to where he's going.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this. I'm very curious because you said we can't get justice in this system per se under the rules of engagement. But what about reparations? And if we can't get that, but what would reparations look like? What's your definition of reparations for Black people? How would it look? How do you envision it looking? Or
I feel like reparations for the Black community, and I'll say the African American community, would be like neighborhoods, prosperous neighborhoods that also lead to prosperous school, prosperous daycares, and prosperous monetary system, which means Black banks. Because we are the only race that I know, that I've researched, that we don't own our own banks, which means we don't control who gets the loans, who gets to be able to build things in our community. Everybody gets rich off of us except for us most of the time. Like everybody gets a piece of like the black dollar, but really the blacks. And we've been put into a system where we don't understand how money works. So as long as we keep the monetary system, we keep the capitalistic environment, put us in a position to help us understand the capitalist environment so we can make more educational and more business-like decisions, where we don't make decisions based off our feelings, but we make them off what's best for the business. But that's still going to kill the human instinct of like putting people first, because in a capitalistic environment, it devalues humans into numbers. So it's going to be a lose-lose on each situation. Like, what are you willing to lose? Are you willing to lose your moral compass to gain worldly finance or world gains? Or are you willing to keep your moral compass and keep from gaining world gain, financial gain? So that's going to be the argument. And I really don't have a true answer for what would be the process, because it's still social sciences. It's my thought process against everybody else's process. Because what may be best, what you feel like may be best for our community, may only your own depiction is where you sit at in that pyramid. If I'm on top of the pyramid, there is no problem with the structure here, because a pyramid is the strongest structure known to man. So I know I'm not finna fall. If I'd have made it to the top, why would I want to change it? I've made it to the pinnacle, and I live a godly lifestyle. And when I say godly, like I live godlike in a way that like they treat me as if I'm a god. Like I have somebody that can bring my food. I have somebody that can iron my clothes. I can really do what I want to do. And the ultimate goal of any human is to really be happy and live their life what they want to do. I said most people is so far-fetched from our lifestyle that we don't even dream of a lifestyle. We can wake up every day in life and do exactly what we want to do when we want to do it.
Wow.
And we can't even imagine a lifestyle like that because we've been so caught up in a system that perpetuates us to like, how do I get into this system to make it work for me? We have too many people waking up every morning too tired and too heartbroken, don't like the people that we go work with, and don't make enough money to do the things that we want to do. And we're going to do that for an endless cycle until the day that they dig their dirt 6 feet and put us in it.
I was thinking about what you were saying. I think about we're in a system of white supremacy, global racism, and we all really like we'll die a slave. We'll have a slave burial. Like we're slaves in the system because a system that doesn't even respect your humanity or does not do things to empower you. Can't be a system we should be paying taxes into or subsidizing. So are we really subsidizing our own genocide by staying in this system?
Truthfully, think about it. Umar Johnson gave like a great speech that he was giving. I think it was in like a house that they were doing like a building of it. I saw the framework of the house, and he said that what is the black church doing with the money? Every Monday, $3 billion of black money from churches are put into the banking system, and we don't own any banks, right? Well, you have to go get your loans from banks, right? So if the bank doesn't give the loan to you, as in say we as a people, who does he give the loans to? He gives the loans to other races. And when you get loans to other races, it gives them the chance to create more businesses. And that's how genocide happens, right? Like, I'm going to devalue your property because you don't make enough money so I can make you all move out. So the same grandma that just gave $50 every week to this church, that churches in return gave all that money to the bank, and the bankers in return gave it to the same people that are forcing grandma out of her community right now. What a cycle. Like we talk about.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, like we talk about cycles, and I tell people, I try to think of things holistically. I try to get the bigger picture of, like, my dad always say, quote unquote, shit trickles downhill. When something happen at the top, you bound to be affected at the bottom. So we always think that it's the little things that we say that don't affect us, or the policies, they don't really apply to you. But in some shape, form, or fashion, you have been affected by every decision that is being made in D.C. But do we truly have a system of democracy? Because true democracy is a system where everybody participates. But we say black people don't vote, but last I checked, only 50 to 60% of Americans vote. In general, in general, like,
right.
We don't vote as a people. Because if you talk to everybody, if you were to ask 50,000 people, or just every American, do they truly believe in the government that we have? I would seriously think that the answer would be a majority decision to no. We don't believe in our government. And that's crazy. To say that something that runs your life does not have your best interest in it, but you still live in it. We become economic slaves. Like, our mentalities are different. Like, we've gotten to the point where we've built this prison, and we're living in it. We've become the guards and the prisoners in our own prison that we built, and we won't even take the time to realize that it's time for us to leave. But you still don't know where you'd go.
Wow.
Like, where do you go? We're admiring what we build so much, and we don't realize how much we're trapped inside of it. We built the four walls and put ourselves in the middle of it, and we don't even realize that we didn't even build the door.
Wow. And speaking of that, I was thinking about the civil rights generation. You talking about voting and whatnot. I want to ask you, like, because Upgrade is the latest chapter of the struggle, liberation struggle for black people, I believe. What was the biggest success of the movement, and what was the biggest failure?
Of the civil rights movement?
Yeah. The civil rights generation.
Of the civil rights generation, in my own opinion, the biggest success, I have to say I couldn't say it was the biggest success, if you wanted my honest opinion.
Yes.
Simply because I read a book, Landslide, Lyndon Baines Johnson and Ronald Reagan. So I began to understand what was happening in America at the time that they gave African Americans the right to vote. And I feel like it was more of a political choice for somebody to win the House or to win the presidency than it was to actually to say that we considered African Americans as equals. I feel like America's arm was twisted into just making a decision on what somebody else felt was best for their party or for them. Kind of like how we ended up with the primaries. After reading Godfrey's book, like, and talking with him in a lecture, the way that they came up with the party was how Roosevelt did it. He then tried to give blacks the right to vote when they had, I think, 64 senators that were black. And he told them that he would promise them something, the black right to vote, if they voted for him when he was running in primary, after he wanted to do another term. So, after studying and just reading the history of things, like, it's clear to see that it was more of a political move than it was actually giving people what they wanted. I've never seen an oppressor stop oppressing the oppressed without the oppressed standing up and willing to die for what they believe in and die for their freedom. So I always challenge my people, at what point are you saying that you're willing to die for what you truly believe in? Because if we believe in Christianity, like the way you should love your wife, as God loved the church, when you believe in something, you're willing to die for it. He believed in us. If we say in the Christian term, Jesus believed in us so much that he laid his life down on the right for us. So what are we willing to die for? Like, what do you believe in so much that if it was taken away from you, you're willing to give your life, or it's either that, or it's either what you want in life or your life or your life taken. How can you? What do you believe in that much? And I tell them, me as a man and growing up in the situation I grew in, everything that I believe in wholeheartedly, as in my family, as in what I do for upgrade, as the man that I walk in the everyday life that I walk in, I'm willing to die for what I believe in at any given time. Because after all, like, a person on his knees is not respected. When you see in a man's eye that he's willing to die for what he has, you kind of look at him different. Because I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be respected. Jesus wasn't liked by everybody. Martin Luther King. I don't know one person you can name in the history of human race that was liked by everybody.
That's deep. That's all. So what do you see for the future upgrade, like 5 years, 10 years from now? How you envision the future?
The future upgrade, I want upgrade to have its own endowment in a way that we're financially stable, to not be ran by large foundations, large funders, to say that we're geared to doing what their dreams of us, or what we feel like we should do. I want upgrade to develop its own face, its own mind, that it discusses what it wants to do and it does it. Because then you can be the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. I want it to own its own soul. I feel like a lot of non-profits, they don't own their own soul because they're governed by somebody else. And my dad and my granddad always preached to me, he who holds the wallet makes the rules. So if somebody else is funding your project, who's really making it happen? Or whose goal or vision is it really? So when you control it in a capitalist environment, when who has the dollar, who holds the wallet makes the rules. So I want upgrade to be able to make his own rules. And his rules is to simply make everybody possible that they come in contact with. Everybody possible to become the best version of themselves. To shed a little light, to shed a little love, and spread it to the next person. Starting first with my own people. Because I feel like we're the people that need it most. It's kind of like the emergency room. They don't help who made it there first. They help who's in the most desperate and stressful need. Like, you gotta help those who are, like, we have to get there. And the only way that we can help change somebody's condition is to really change their financial state. The only way you can help poor people is not to be one of them. I can't help you out the hole if I'm in it. And we have to get there. Like, it's like the vision is so beautiful in my mind. Like, the way that I tell people, like, what is your vision? And that's what Upgrades wants you to develop your own vision. And I tell them the way that vision works, the example that we use, the way that vision works is, if you are an artist, say you are the artist, and you're in a room by yourself, and you paint this beautiful, gorgeous masterpiece. Like, you painted it, it's absolutely stunning and perfect to you. You got it exactly the way that you've envisioned it. Like, it's exactly what you want it to be. And you put it in a box, and you put it in your closet, and you go out and tell 1 million people, stroke by stroke, what this painting was. And you gave them an opportunity to paint it. Do you think they would ever paint it the way that you painted it? They couldn't, because it's not you painting. That's the way your vision works. No matter how much you explain it to somebody, no matter how many details you give them, the only thing they can do is understand, because they can never see it exactly the way that you see it. And you are the only person that can paint that picture. So you have to make your vision work for you. Your vision is your vision. He wouldn't have given you a mind if he wanted somebody else to control it.
So what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you or upgrade? They want to help or become a part of it.
You can get in touch with us on our website, upgrademississippi.org. It's spelled all the way out, all lowercase. We keep it real simple. And if you want to email us, it's at upgrademississippi@gmail.com. And you can just spell it all the way out the same way. You can look us up on Instagram at Upgrade Mississippi, spelled all the way out, or on our Twitter account, UpgradeMS, at UpgradeMS on our Twitter. And those are ways that you can reach us. And also our number, if you want to call the office, 769-218-9480. And those are ways that you can contact us, or just pop up on Tougaloo's campus, or just pop up in Jackson and pop up where you feel like people in need. And if you say where is Upgrade, somebody will point you in the right direction, because we're going to be here.
That's excellent. So you say that number again, the area code?
The area code is 769-218-9480.
Thanks so much, Brother Antron. You got anything else you want to add?
Man, just be blessed. Continue to work on you. Continue to work on yourself, and everything else will fall into place.
Thanks so much, brother. In the words of the great DeGelty, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing.
Peace.
Yeah.